Good evening. Welcome to the Public Works Committee meeting. It is Thursday, November 14, 2024. Through the clerk, can I please have a roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas.
Present.
Councilwoman Haroyan.
Present.
Councilman Perry. Councilwoman Renzulli.
Present.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Present.
Councilman Wall.
Here.
Council President Marino.
Present.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of the minutes of the October 17, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, through the clerk, can please take the roll?
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries on to the next item. Committee business matters carried over. There is an item under Council President Marino. Floor is all yours.
Thank you, Council Vice President Vargas. This is just on here as basically a placeholder for the public or the administration to provide updates should there be any.
Hi, there's no update this month, from last month on this item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, all set? All right. Moving on, we have Councilman Wall. You have an item on there. Councilmember Wall, floor is yours.
Thank you. I guess you can stay up there and, once again, I ask for any updates there are. I know right now we're in, was it a moderate drought? So probably not seeing any flood waters, but any updates you have on the grants you were speaking of?
Unfortunately, I do not. As you know, this is contingent on the Oscar grant, which we have not heard back from. So there is no update on that one as well.
Just one follow-up. This was the month we probably were gonna see something, if I recall. Is that what you reported to me, or am I making that up?
It's funny, we've applied for subsequent grants through the same or an infrastructure bank, and I've heard back about those grants. So this one's a little strange. I don't know why we haven't heard back. But like I said last month, they would tell us either way. So it's not like we are not picked for it. We're still just waiting to hear back.
There's nothing further. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, no further questions or discussion on this item. Okay, move on. I am good with my items for the time being, unless you have additional updates, the questions that I have below.
Nope, all the answers are the same as they were last month.
Okay, thank you. And that was again, that the site would be under, finish, the completion date would be sometime in November, December. Am I right in?
The construction completion in November, and then they would demobilize after that.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
Right, next item of business, if there's no further discussion or anything on that item, it'll be public comments. If there's anyone here in the council chambers who would like to speak on docketed matters only. Seeing none, Tom,
There is no public comment.
thank you. Seeing that there's no public comment on the chambers or online, I am closing public comments and I'm moving on to new, sorry, give me 1 second. I apologize. I'm gonna go back once. I skipped one item. That was the petition for the amendment of the portion of Elmhurst Avenue, the petitioner Brian D. White. There's been a request to continue that until the next Public Works Committee meeting in December. If that is okay, we'll just do a motion or.
Yeah,
would
with
you
your
like to-
permission, Madam Chairwoman, on behalf of the applicant, I expected to have a letter from Carpionado Group saying they did not oppose this. Mr. Montanaro and I chatted today. He doesn't have it in his possession to give to me, so I expect to have it by the next meeting with your permission, just continue to December 7th.
Okay, fair enough. Absolutely.
All right, motion to continue.
Second.
Right, any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk, can you please take a roll call on the continuance to the next Public Works Committee
Council
meeting?
Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council President Reed.
Yes.
All right, now we're going on to new matters before, welcome. Next item is new matters before the committee. That is 10-24-01, ordinance amendment of chapter 12.08.080 of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Sidewalk, Curb, and Driveway Construction Sidewalk Coast Share Program. This is sponsored by Councilman Donegan and Councilman Campopiano. Councilmember Campopiano.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Yes, this is the same ordinance we talked about earlier about the sharing of the costs, but we added to that, if someone's handicapped, the same rules will apply to as it was, if it was low income. Yes. So I'm proud to say that went through, and I hope it's supported tonight. Thank you.
Second, I just have, I think, a question. Does anybody have a question on this item? The agenda, in this ordinance? Council President Marino.
Thank you. Councilman Campiano, so I understand the change was based on prior discussion with the original amendment when you and Councilman Donegan were referencing the disability aspect. That's right? Yep.
Correct.
Okay. And did the solicitors have any opinion relative to the change for the characterization of disability within the ordinance, just so we don't run into problems when people, trying as a city to determine what actually is disabled to qualify under this ordinance? Just want to make sure the solicitors are on board with it too. Yeah.
Yes, they were.
Yep. Solicitor Verdeca, do you have a comment on that?
I personally wasn't involved, but just looking at the language, it does reference and it says pursuant to the act, therefore it incorporates the act in full. So whatever the requirements are pursuant to federal regulations are going to be incorporated into this ordinance. That's my understanding.
Yep. As long as legal is good with it, and we've got clearance, that's fine. Yep. So we just need that definition. Sounds good.
Just curious, I have a quick question just on that. Is there some sort of document that someone would present when they're, and I'm just trying to get educated when someone has a disability and they're requesting to be reimbursed? I obviously would hope no one obviously lies about it, but I'm just curious, is there anything that we
I
as a
mean-
city would take in?
I mean, I first of all, I think it would depend on the type of disability we're talking about. I think there might be different requirements. I mean, there's a whole host of disabilities. And I don't know the mechanics of how the finance department, what they would require, but I'm sure that that's laid out under federal law. As I said, there's so many different types of disabilities. I'm sure whatever paperwork or application is going to be filled out is going to incorporate all those requirements. Of myself, I don't personally know what, the specifics of that, but I'm sure that the finance department or whoever this goes to will know that.
Thank you. All right, is there any other comment at all or questions on this item?
Actually, Council Vice President,
Yep.
I don't want to get in the weeds, but that's why we're discussing it now in committee to thoroughly think it through. And if I understand correctly, with the ADA impairments, definitions of being disabled are both mental or physical impairments. And I'm just thinking, when it comes to sidewalks, do we want to have the ADA disability definition be limited to physical impairment?
Yeah, Thank you, for putting that in a more specific way. It's exactly where I was going with it. So, and that's why I'm trying to figure out, is it open to everyone? Again, not that anyone would lie, and I hope not on this, right? But then also, is there proof? And what is really considered, what falls under the ADA? And if that is the case, then to potentially limit that, to physical, my only now question is if we limit it to that, are we opening up our risk of saying where it doesn't matter, they're part of the ADA regardless based on that act, and placing them in a different category than others? But that's exactly what I was trying to get at as well.
Yeah, and that would be a conversation for the solicitors. I believe the ADA defines it as physical or mental impairment, so we could still have this ordinance be where property owners who are considered physically disabled pursuant to the American with Disabilities Act, as opposed to a mental disability or impairment. Language to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the intent or the desire of the committee, certainly you can amend the ordinance to reflect that. I'm just trying to think, you're right about there being mental as well as physical disabilities, and I'm just wondering, I'm trying to think in my head, what would be an example of a mental disability that would not lend itself to, I don't know though, if that would be considered,
In my
disability.
experience as a personal injury defense lawyer, I've seen a lot of stuff in medical records.
but under the ADA though, I mean, would that be considered a full disability or just a condition?
Qualifies for SSDI, I would assume that it's
Yeah, maybe.
probably
Okay,
ADA because it's
sure.
both federal. Yeah, and I'll add, Solicitor Verdecchia, again, my understanding is ADA disabilities, they define it as physical or
They do.
mental.
No,
So
there's no question about that.
there's no reason why some type of, psychological ailment could be considered an impairment under ADA, but that's not our point with respect to the sidewalks, so.
Well, what you could do is simply amend the language to state, who has a physical disability as defined by and pursuant to the ADA, just add in that qualifying language. That'll just tighten it up.
Yep. I can make a motion to amend through the chair, your call, yep.
Yes, and I want to, if you're going to make a motion, I'm wondering before that motion is placed, does that, and Councilwoman Haroyan, I'm going to call on you in just 1 second, but does that also apply to veterans? Does the ADA also apply to who's a 99% like disabled veteran? I'm not trying to get too deep in the weeds, but we could potentially down the line have someone that comes in and said, well, there are 99% disabled. I'm 100%, 99% disabled as well as a veteran. Does that put them in the same? I'm not educated on that, and that's why I don't know.
My opinion, I don't think so. I
Get a
think they're
catch-all.
mutually exclusive. You're a veteran, you get it. If you happen to hit, all
Okay,
the buttons, you do, but
Councilwoman Haroyan, before.
I also have some concerns about the American Act with Disabilities because a lot of children have ADH and that's considered a disability. So would the parents get the reimbursement of 99%? Like, I think we have to, the property owner, not the people that live there. Okay.
Do we have to define that as well in this on here? It says property owners, right? That's as straightforward as it possibly gets. Councilwoman Renzulli.
Thank you. This is not what I was gonna say originally, but to that point, if there is a child in the residence that's in a wheelchair or has cannot walk, just because their parent doesn't mean they, you know what I mean, necessarily shouldn't. I'm just saying, that's something to think of.
I understand, but then I think then at that point, we're getting out deep in the weeds
Yeah.
as to then
Who,
the,
or,
what if a landlord rents it to
Yeah,
someone, everybody
exactly.
else? And I think that I think
Open it
maybe
up.
we move forward with what we have and potentially that motion, and then later on, we could always potentially amend depending on what we're seeing on this as a city.
and originally what I was gonna say is the qualifications to get disability placards for someone who's disabled to get a parking spot, they have certain criteria that is physical. So I don't know if we want to consider any of that language. And you also need a physician's note in order to do it, and there's a full application. So if, I know we don't construct the applications for this, but that's something that, administration might want to consider in constructing an application. There is already, state administrative function doing this.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I assume there's gonna possibly be a form that goes with this. When somebody's filling this information out. And as a council body, we can legislate, we can't really enforce, so we'd have to leave some of that also to the.
Yeah, it just
administration
has
to
some
do that.
criteria in it,
Yeah.
language specific to physical
Mhm.
stuff that seems like it would apply to sidewalks as well. I don't know what type of physical, obviously you could have different physical disabilities that don't really concern walking. That I don't know necessarily means that you should get the sidewalk. I don't know how deep we want to go into this.
Yeah, Councilwoman, would you like to add to that before we do the motion, Wall?
Oh, I mean, I'm just gonna kind of reiterate, the point that Councilwoman Haroyan went on. If you read it like this, and I think you said it, but I might as well just say what I believe. This does only say property owners. And if, you can think a lot of people with children who may have disability and they wouldn't be covered by that. It might be a good idea, and this is, if we maybe rework this so it reflects what we actually want before we pass it. I mean, I might be in favor of continuing to next month to get it right. If we're gonna vote on it, we should get it right, because I think that's the intention. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking.
And
If I may, through the chair, and it just following up on Councilman Wald's point, I know you mentioned children, but there's probably other situations where, for instance, someone's caring for an elderly parent, someone may be a caretaker, so you may want to consider some type of language that expanding on owner and or immediate family, household member, something like that. So I think this does, if that's where you want to go, I think we need to continue it and really think through those categories.
yeah, piggyback on that, then at that point, if we do that or we don't, then property owners, are we asking them, if we leave it with property owners, if we're adding more, that's fine. I'll be, not, that's fine, but I'll definitely listen to what's proposed. And if we leave it the way it is, property owners, should we potentially think of changing property owners who reside in the property restricted, or does it not? Because right now it says property owners who are considered, but what if they're not living in that house? So perhaps residing in that property, because if I own 5 properties and suddenly I become 99% disabled, you know what I mean?
You could expand,
Sorry.
you could expand owner to owner occupied. You could say owner occupied or something like
Resident
that. But that's why I'm saying, I think if you want to really go into a lot of detail, we're gonna have to work the language.
Go ahead, Council
Yeah.
President.
Maybe this evening, I'm not making the formal motion yet, just talking out loud. If we change it so it reads property owner, occupied, and immediate family or household members who are considered physically disabled, and leave the rest.
Yeah, I like the idea of and household members versus and immediate, because then how do you argue immediate?
The only concern I'm having now a little bit is this a substantial change that we probably should re-advertise this?
Council President?
Yeah, to the point, to that point, Solicitor Verdecchia, that's why I'm thinking to make the motion this evening, since it would likely be considered a substantial change, so that the clock is ticking in the right direction rather than lose time and lose another month.
And then bring it back before the next Public Works Committee meeting again? Yep. Okay, going to make
Alright.
the motion, Council President.
Yep, I'll make a motion to amend line 44 so that it reads property owners, property owner occupied or household or immediate household members who are considered physically disabled.
Or immediate household members. Or household members, yep, okay, I'll can I second that as a chair, or?
Second.
Okay,
Actually, do we want the primary residence?
right, yes, can you want to withdraw that motion? You'll withdraw.
Use the language owner occupied. I don't know that you necessarily would have to say property owner. If you put owner occupied.
I really like property owner occupied, and what did you just said? In
Or immediate household members. Yep.
property owner.
I mean, yeah, immediate family or household members, yep.
And I like immediate family or household. I like household, does household members state more like they live there versus immediate family?
It's,
I know you want to get this done, but are you
Yeah.
sure you might not want to just,
well, I think that's sufficient,
it's all.
for this evening, because
all-
John, if we just change one little word of it, it's not gonna be a substantial change the next time.
Right,
And that's what
that's
we're
true,
really
too.
looking at, so
That's true.
I think it's better to proceed.
That's
if
true.
the council members agree, yep.
Okay, what was the motion again? It was motion second. Hey, Major, can you do us a favor? Would you please let us, let the folks outside know if they can just quiet down a little bit, just so that way we can. We'll be starting that right at 6:30, the next meeting if they're here for the Ordinance Committee. Thank you. So as the motion reads, through the clerk, do you have what you need?
I have property owner occupied or immediate household members who are physically disabled.
Okay, and that was second, correct? By Council, well, all right, great. Any discussion? No? Okay. Hearing none, through the clerk, can you please take the roll call on that motion?
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Okay, great. Now we have, before we motion to. Yep, we're gonna do a continuous amendment, but before we do that, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor on this.
Yeah,
Anybody else would like to be added?
yes,
Yep,
please,
All,
thank
okay,
you.
all of us on here. Thank you. All right. Now, if we can have a motion to continue as amended.
Motion to continue as amended.
Second.
Okay, great. Any discussion on that? All right, seeing none to the clerk, can you please take a roll call on that?
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes,
Okay, great. Motion passes to continue. Next item. There's the petition of Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England, Inc. To install a new pole on Lambert Street. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that petition? Seeing none, Dear Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli.
Yes.
Council Campiano.
Yes.
Council Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next item is petition of Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England to install a new pole on Situate Avenue. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second,
Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, to the clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Vargas, Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Council Campiano.
Yes.
Council Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Okay, next item. Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England, Inc. to install a new pole on Myrtle Avenue. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, to the clerk, can you please take the roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Council Campiano.
Yes.
Council Wall,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
All right, I see no council communication. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All
Second.
right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have it. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Ordinance Committee meeting. It is Thursday, November 14, 2024. Through the clerk, can you please take the roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Present.
Councilman Wall,
Here.
Councilman Ferry, Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Present.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Present.
All right, thank you. Next order of business, the approval of the minutes of the October 17, 2024 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, to the clerk, can you please take the roll?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Thank you. Council President Marino?
I understand that, the major has other commitments this evening, so I'm gonna make a motion to take the agenda out of order so that he can present.
Okay. Is
Second.
there a second? Any discussion on that? Nope. Okay. Can, through the clerk, can you please take a roll call on the, take the agenda out of order? And then once we do that, we'll open it up to public comments, just for everyone that's here this evening.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Haroyan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Major Patalano?
Good evening. First off, thank you for taking this out of order. And I'm here to speak in full support of an ordinance that was put in by the administration in regards to the Honeysuckle Drive at Phoenix Avenue intersection and actually the one way on Honeysuckle. I think that almost everybody here in this audience is probably here for the same issue, and there's a petition signed I believe by almost everybody in the neighborhood except for a few households. This is a project that's been ongoing for several years. I've reviewed several emails and correspondences, and the police department was involved back in August in regards to Blueberry Lane and Honeysuckle Road, which is it's an L-shaped cut through from Wilbur Avenue to Phoenix Avenue. So once the police department got involved, this was a 2-year project that had been ongoing. They've contacted numerous people. I know Richard and Campiano, Councilman Campiano, and Councilman Marino was also involved in this. So the police department did a traffic study on the area. If you were coming Wilbur Avenue westbound, you would turn left onto Blueberry Lane and continue. There's a stop sign halfway through that roadway before you reach Honeysuckle. And then you would take a hard right and you could come out onto Phoenix Avenue, avoid the intersection of Hope Road, Phoenix Avenue, which you know that is a very congested roadway and it backs up in every direction, not just one direction. So people use that as a cut through. So we did a traffic study on Blueberry Lane and Honeysuckle Road. Honeysuckle, mind you, is a one-way that comes out onto Phoenix Avenue. We did a traffic study for 3 days, beginning in August on the 28th and ended it on September 1st. And then we had over 1,000 vehicles cut through that roadway. What was more alarming was that there was 50 vehicles that were coming down Phoenix and turning down Honeysuckle, going the wrong way on a one-way. So we put out patrol officers out there sporadically. We can't be there every minute of every day. And we were handing out citations as well for people traveling on the one way going the wrong way. What's more alarming is when we're not there, it's probably going on a lot more, and we can't leave it to the people or trust the people to abide by that one way because we're going to have an accident. You'll see people out there walking strollers with babies, kids playing. There's a stop sign. Something needs to be done. Just imagine 1,000 cars traveling past your house in a residential neighborhood. And mind you, they're going through stop signs and wrong ways on one ways. So something has to be done. That road serves no purpose in being open as far as we're concerned. We spoke with the police department. Obviously, that's me and all of the traffic division and also with the fire department. Usually, we would recommend not closing a roadway. In this case, it's a no-brainer based on all the factors I just described. And the main factor also is police response and fire response or rescue response. We don't respond coming in from Honeysuckle. First of all, it's a one-way. We wouldn't go down a one-way. And second of all, there would be no response coming from further west. The station on Oaklawn Avenue or Station 3 or the one on Situate Ave would all come in from Blueberry Lane. The police response would come in from Blueberry Lane. So there's no purpose in having this road a one-way and even have it open. And it's more feasible, and we feel, based upon ourselves, the fire department, and also speaking with Public Works, that it could be closed. We actually met out there with the mayor, his chief of staff, spoke to the neighbors, saw it firsthand. Clearly, there's only a few houses on Honeysuckle. There's probably a bunch of people here from Honeysuckle. They will tell you that it serves no purpose. It's more of a hindrance, people going the wrong way. So we're here to support shutting it down, closing it off, pass the ordinance, put an asphalt berm there, put a bed there, a guardrail with some arborvitaes, and I think it'll be a much safer for the neighborhood and avoid any accidents that could occur or any pedestrian accident occurring, which is something that we really want to prohibit right now and prevent. So we're here to support in closing it, and we ask your full support for it. I know I've spoke to some people about it already, and when you look at 50 vehicles going the wrong way on a one-way, that's a big problem. And we're not going to be there. And if something happens, we don't want to be responsible for leaving this open. So we think it's best that we close, and we ask for your support. And I'm pretty sure that all of these people, by a raise of their hand, would tell you if they're here for Honeysuckle Drive. Basically, that's your whole neighborhood. So it's them that matters, and they don't have any gripe. So I believe that it's best, good for the greater number, to close it. Thank you.
Thank you, Major.
I believe Justin Matus is also here, if you want to hear from him as well.
Sure, well, yeah.
I don't really have much to add from what the major outlined. I think he did a very well job explaining the reasoning. What it would look like when everything is said and done. It would just be a berm separating the two roads, a little mound in it with some hardscape, either rocks, boulders, a guardrail, something like that, and then some vegetation, probably arborvitaes, excuse me.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the members in the council have any questions at all for the major? Council President Marino.
Thank you, Council Vice President Vargas. Director Matus, how long until, assuming this ordinance passes at the monthly meeting, how long would it be until the road is actually closed?
I don't see that taking more than a couple of weeks to get that work completed.
All right, thanks.
That includes signs and everything else as well.
Correct, yep. Although obviously it's not the best season to be planting anything, so that would obviously be dependent on the planting season.
Okay, thank you. Any questions at all from the committee to the major or the director? No? Okay. Thank you both. All right, the next item, what we'll do is we're going to, no, not yet, no. We have the committee business matters carried over. The first item on here, 7-24-03. My understanding is that is just going to be continued to Director, Solicitor Vecchia.
Yes, Director Moretti is requesting that this matter be continued to next month's meeting.
Okay. I believe I need a motion to continue.
Motion to
Correct.
continue?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, to the clerk, can you please take a roll call on motion to continue 7-24-03 to the next ordinance committee meeting?
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilman Rizuli?
Yes.
Councilman Horoyan?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
All right. Next item is 9-24-02, ordinance amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32, Section 030 of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Multi-Way Stop Intersection Enumerated, adding a four-way stop in Packard Street and Flint Ave. This is sponsored by Councilman Donegan.
Thank you, Council Vice President Vargas. I believe Councilman Donegan sent an email, so before we have a motion to approve this as is, we should make a motion to amend to coincide with his email.
You happen to have that email through the clerk? Do you have that?
If I may, through the chair, I believe his email is such that I make a motion to amend so that section 2 instead reads, section 1, where it says pack on line 25, that would be removed, and instead it would read Flint Ave at its intersection with Packard Street. Is that consistent with what you have, Council Vice President Vargas?
I'm just checking that right now. Yes, Flint Avenue at its intersection with Packard Street. That is correct. That's from the email. Yep. So that's a motion to amend. Is there a second?
Second.
Right? Any discussion on that amendment? All right. Through the clerk, can you please take a? Go ahead,
Sorry,
Council.
Council Vice President Vargas. It actually is more involved in that as I'm looking at it. And so Solicitor Verdecchio, you might want to get up. It appears that the chapter is different as well. It should be chapter 30, section 20, which is a different chapter and section of the code. And it should be stop intersections enumerated as opposed to the section quoted here. So I'm not sure if that would be considered a substantial change, but I would still make the motion this evening.
The citation to a section would not constitute a substantial change. That's more in the nature of a procedural or scrivener's issue. So that's fine.
Okay, all right. So then, just to be sure, the motion to amend includes that the title then needs to be corrected so that it reads chapter 30, section 20, stops intersections dash enumerated. And then the motion to amend as stated earlier relative to line 25 would remain as amended where it reads Flint Avenue at its intersection with Packard Street. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So there's a motion. I believe there was a second as well. No discussion. The clerk, can you please take the roll call on the amendment?
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Council President Reno?
Yes.
Is there a motion now to approve as amended?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, the clerk can please take the roll.
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Council President Reno?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now we're going to move forward with, there's nothing on the committee business matters carried over, so public hearing and public comment. If there's anyone here to speak on docketed matters only, please come up and state your name and address and limit it over to 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Monteresi, and I live on Blueberry Lane. Thank you, City Council members, for inviting us to be a part of this meeting today and hearing Major Todd Padalano pitch what he was pitching tonight. Thank you, Major Padalano. That was a great job. We all truly appreciate you and what you've done for us up until this point. So I've been working on this situation with multiple administrations for nearly 9 years to try and make this neighborhood safer. It's a seemingly simple thing to do. However, there's just been a lot of roadblocks in our way to do so. Thanks to Major Padalano, Senior Chief of Staff Moretti, and a few others, we've actually had a very good discussion on how we can move forward through this. And so I have just a little something here that I want to say. Just to reiterate what Major Padalano had said, our neighborhood urgently needs action. Action to address a serious safety risk that is happening due to cut-through traffic as drivers bypass that congested Wilbur four-way stop sign section. This traffic is endangering our residents, our families, and our children. We have more children in our neighborhood than ever since I've been here almost a decade. Thank God. It's awesome. It's great. But we love our children, and we want to make sure that our children are safe, especially stepping off their own driveway to use the streets, their bicycles, etc. Now, there have been many close calls, and some of those close calls I have on video. I've also had hundreds of other infractions on videos as well. So it is a very obvious problem that is increasingly getting worse due to the overdevelopment in surrounding areas. We have more cars than ever. We are seeing them cut through our neighborhood. It's causing a major safety issue. At the request of Chief of Staff Moretti, I conducted a neighborhood petition where we had 56 homes petitioned. There are 59 homes in our neighborhood. 2 were unoccupied. One, somebody had passed away. The other, the house was on the market. The third person we did not appeal or approach simply because he was a confrontational person, and we just felt it was best to avoid. Of the 56 homes petitioned, 56 people signed in favor of closing this road down. So many of those people are here tonight. Raise your hands again, please. All of these folks, they live on Apple Hill Drive, Apple Blossom Lane, Sweet Fern Drive, Lantern Lane, Blueberry Lane, and Honeysuckle Drive. So closing the access point at Honeysuckle Drive and Phoenix Ave is essential to restoring the peace and safety in our community, and we thank you for your support. I'd also love to add, I have the petition, the physical petition here. If you would like me to submit it, I can do so, or email it. That is possible as well.
We can take an edit record.
Okay.
Yep. Do you want?
I'll make a motion to add the petition to the record.
Second.
All right. Thank you. Any discussion on adding the petition to record? Okay. Through the clerk, I believe we need a roll call on accepting the documents to be added today to the record. The documents that have been provided, the petition to the record. It's been a motion in a second.
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horayan?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Council President Reno?
Yes.
Is there anybody else in the council chamber who would like to speak on any docketed items only? All right. Is there? Thank you. If you can state your name and address and limit it to 2 minutes, please, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Pete Angley, 31 Lantern Lane, and thank you all for what you do. I'd like to thank the Major for his efforts on this. And I just wanted to state, I spent 23 years as a firefighter in the city of Warwick. I retired just recently. And unfortunately, I've been to those calls when we've had children struck by these cars, and you don't get a second bite at this apple. So it's a horrendous thing to see. I have neighbors right across the street from me with 2 little children. They're out in the street as they should be on their bikes. Their mom and dad's always out there watching them, and I see these cars come by, and it's literally a tragedy waiting to happen. So thank you all again for everything you do for us, and I just hope we can get this done before we have something we cannot spin the hands of time back to change. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Good evening. Name and address for the record, if you can limit it
Of
to 2 minutes.
course. Mitchell Edwards, 38 Blueberry Lane. And I live across the street from Jonathan, who spoke earlier. And we should all thank him, by the way, because he spearheaded this. So, so my daughter's back there. And that's the reason we're here. So please pass this.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Oh. Good evening.
Hi, Eric Tennant, 16 Lantern Lane. Well, Jonathan's been trying this for about 9 years or so, or a decade. I've been in the neighborhood since '96, and tragedy actually has happened, but narrowly avoided. So it is real. I live on Lantern Lane. We don't have a stop sign at the end of our street, and the cars fly up it. Right around 4 o'clock it starts, and it subsides around 6. So around 2007 or 6, my daughter was on a scooter. Car comes flying up, and she had her dog with her. Just missed my daughter. She fell off the scooter. The dog ran out on the street. The guy ran over the dog and kept going. Mike Sosha, who was my neighbor, his father was there, who was a police officer, retired, chased the guy down, told him what happened, and he didn't even see it because he was driving so fast. So it's going to happen again eventually, and it's going to be a worse outcome than what we narrowly averted in 2007. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on any docketed items this evening? All right. Tom, I don't think there's anyone online, but if you can please confirm.
Correct. There's no public comment online.
Great, thank you. Public comments are now closed. We're now moving new matters before the committee. We have 10-24-02 ordinance for the closure of the westerly end of Honeysuckle Drive at its intersection with Phoenix Avenue pursuant to Title 12.04 of the Code of the City of Cranston 2005, entitled Streets and Sidewalks Generally. This is sponsored by Mayor Hopkins and Councilman Campopiano. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, there's a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Councilman Campopiano.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. First, I want to commend Major Padalano for his hard work in getting this done. He did a great job and always a great job in protecting the city. I also want to thank Jonathan. I met with him on a couple of occasions, and it's not an easy task to get this many people together and on the same page. You do a great job. If I ever get in trouble, I'm calling you up. So thank you to all. I am in support of this, and I'm looking forward to getting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Marino.
Thank you. I also, with Councilman Campopiano, have gone out to the neighborhood, and my children, they're now, one's in college, one's in high school, but went to Hope Highlands, so very familiar with that area and that cut through. I thank the major for taking the time to address it. Even when we spoke with Jonathan, we had said that the police department would be responsive in assessing the situation, the traffic, the flow, and we appreciate that. You know, even when we were there was a dump truck that went right through the stop sign and took a left turn within the neighborhood. So this will, this neighborhood's fortunate that there's an option such as this where the road can be closed because it's not essential for fire and police, for emergency personnel to traverse through. You're still going to face people who are going to be blowing stop signs, you know, I'm sure as well, and cars are going to be attempting to zip through, being surprised that it's closed. So I will be in support of this ordinance this evening, and I just do think it also is essential to say that there are going to be other constituents throughout the city that are faced with other traffic situations of, you know, safety issues. And, you know, I look forward to working with the police department in those areas as we have in the past to address those. But a road closure is not a one size fits all. Every situation is unique and needs to be assessed by the appropriate departments. Thanks.
Thank you, Council President. Is there any other further discussion on this item before we vote? Okay, seeing none, to the clerk, can you please take the roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horayan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Motion carries and it'll go before the full council at the end of the month. We're now, yeah, thank you. Next item is 10-2403. That is ordinance and amendment of Title 10, Chapter 12, Section 210 of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Through Trucking Prohibited on Certain Streets. This is sponsored by Councilman Renzulli. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. For discussion, Councilwoman Renzulli.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. This is a pretty simple ordinance. I've had neighbors just call or email me complaining that there are, 16 and 18 wheelers cutting through on Baldwin Orchard. So through the traffic engineer, he says that there is no apparent traffic safety issues associated with approving what I've proposed here, which is basically just signage that says no through trucking. If you don't know the area, it cuts from Oak Lawn Avenue up across Mechanicat Valley Parkway. It's a hill. I don't know why anyone would want to cut through with that big of a vehicle, but apparently it is happening. So that's basically it. This is just, for the safety of the residents and several who have called with complaint about it. I think it's appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman, is there any other discussion? Councilmember Wall.
First, let me start by thanking the councilwoman for her advocacy in this matter. I have spent a little bit of time in the area, as it's in my ward. There shouldn't be trucks driving up and down it. I haven't personally seen any or heard any neighbors speak of it, but I certainly see no harm in ordinance cementing this, so I certainly will be in support of it.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. No further discussion. To the clerk, can you please take the roll?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan,
Yes.
Council Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Reno.
Yes.
All right, before we adjourn, I do have to call, City Solicitor Verdecchia. There's an item he wants to bring back up.
This is my mea culpa moment. I should have caught this earlier. Thanks to Director Matus. I want to bring it to the attention of the committee. So if we could just go back, Madam Chair, to Councilman Donegan's Ordinance 92402. I was always under the impression when we did the traffic signs, like the stop signs and stuff like that, that the traffic studies were always done ahead of time. This particular one that's being sponsored by Councilman Donegan, in speaking with Director Matus, seems to be a fairly substantial alteration of the traffic flow there. And the clerk was kind enough to give me, it looks like a series of emails were exchanged in late October. And it appears the traffic engineer has some concerns with this and really wanted to complete a traffic study. So I'm going to make a request that, and I know this is a little unusual, we don't do this very often, but I'm going to ask that a motion to rescind that main motion that approved 92402 be rescinded. Then I'm going to, if that passes, I'm going to ask that this be continued to the next meeting so that the traffic study can be completed. And I have the emails here if someone wants to review those, but there seems to be a concern with the traffic engineer. This isn't your run of the mill. Let's just put up a stop sign or a no through trucking sign.
And so thank you so much for that. Question for you. Are we able to still, instead of continuing, if it gets rescinded and it passes, that it would go to the full city council meeting? Subject to traffic?
Well, the
or no?
only, that would be the only concern would be if the traffic study isn't finished by then. I suppose you certainly can do that but with the understanding that we're going to have the traffic study for this to be completed before it's adopted, if it's going to be adopted. So I apologize for that. I should have caught that earlier, but I did not realize the extent of this particular ordinance. And Director Matus, maybe if someone has some questions, can explain why this this is a little more of a unique situation because of the traffic flow at this four-way intersection. it's up to you, but we do need a motion to rescind, please.
Council President Marino.
Thank you, Council Vice President Vargas. Based on the advice of the solicitor, I'll make a motion to rescind without prejudice
That's fine.
the previous motion to approve as amended 924-02.
Second.
Any discussion on that? No? Okay, I believe we need to take a roll on that, correct? Yep, thanks.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Right, so now we need a motion, correct? To continue.
Yes, a motion to continue. So if you want to continue it to the full council meeting, or do you want to continue it to, well, actually, no, we have to, no, we have to keep it in committee.
I'll make a motion to continue 9-24-02 as amended to next month's public works
Second.
meeting.
Okay, any discussion?
It's ordinance meeting.
Yep, ordinance. Any discussion on that? No? To the clerk, can you please take the roll?
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yep.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horoyan.
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I believe that completes tonight's ordinance committee meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Great, thank you. Any discussion? Nope. All right, all in favor, say aye. All right, ayes have it, meeting adjourned.